All right, we're gonna go over some Nogi footage from. What's up, James? We're gonna go over footage from class yesterday. We had a pretty solid turnout, so I think there will be plenty to look at. What's up, Mango?
What's up, man?
And a big congratulations to Austin on his blue belt promotion this past Thursday. I think we were all out to kill him today. Is that you in Austin?
Yeah. We had a decent little scrap. It was good.
Like Duncan and Cam are going over some single leg finishes or something. Swap you up, Matt of Airbit. Oh, dude, our AC is always in some state of disrepair. Well, I shouldn't say always. It's not always the worst, but this weekend it was definitely bad. And just looking ahead to. Actually, we'll do some fun right now. We'll look at the mats right now. And look at the mats later on through class. Here's the time lapse. A lot of sweat. But fortunately, this was not a gi day. Let's see. Did you have a takedown on Austin here? Yeah.
Yeah, watch what I did. I was trying to be gentle. Just like
That
picking
was
his
very
leg
kind.
up as high as I could.
I actually really like that finish. Like just take their leg continually higher.
Yep.
That's right, man. Yeah, eventually their hamstring is not going to stretch any further, and their hips will start going.
Yeah.
What happened with Brandon?
Did Brandon
there?
get around your back again?
He did, man. These arm drags are really working for him.
He did that to me late, I think literally the next roll. So yeah.
I mean, I think we saw him doing that a lot on the last stream.
Mm-hmm.
He's doing it in gi. He's doing it in no gi.
I love how he's making that connection, like, inch wide, mile deep type thing, going all in on the arm drags.
Yeah. Yeah, and once he wraps you up, because he's so damn tall, and he's got such long limbs, like it's a tough grip to break out of. At least for me. I mean, I hipped pretty heavily into that just to try to get a little bit of space to disrupt it, and got big old nothing.
I was trying the pass that Luke showed during class to no avail. Austin stuffed me.
Some half guard passing, or
It was half guard. It was before this, so he gets me in half guard here, and doing his thing where he always kind of goes over top, and so I he leg pummels over top, and so I wrap him up with his rugby pass, start coming around behind, and I just can't claim the knee line
right
on him. He's very, very heavy on the head, doing all the right things between, pushing on my head to make sure that it's around the wrong side of the body, right, which would be the same side that I'm coming around to pass, is the one that he's always trying to push on. And then, I honestly have found a lot more success with same side shoulder posts. So not the cross side that we typically go to, but the near side or the same side shoulder post. And he uses both of those very effectively.
yeah.
I love how heavy Brandon is staying on your elbow. You're doing, obviously, the by reguarding and getting your frames in, but he's not going up really high towards the head. I feel like the more novice people, which is exactly what you're trying to do, right? You're trying to get your head in line with his head, because that 90 degree is not good for you, but good for him. And I really like how he's like trying to maintain that position, although you're able to close that angle line.
Yeah, and he kind of forced my hand here into trying to work a deep half guard, which isn't my best position. So since he sat to face my legs, he left that, like, I guess his left leg close to my arms, for that setup. But you can't really see it here, but he knew that I was going for deep half at this point, and he was doing a really good job trying to sprawl and stay away and not give me anything there. So he's balancing both, that like little high step attempt he did to get out of my half guard with shutting down any sort of offense I might be able to set up. And we just ended up having to play a seated guard from here. What's up, Joe? How you doing, bud?
What up, Joe?
What's up, Cody? How you doing, man? Rubber guard for a second.
Yeah.
Who was using rubber guard? Who in the hell was using rubber guard? Austin. Yeah.
Yeah. No, Austin was he switches back and forth a lot, and like here he's got me in kind of, it's not a rubber guard exactly, it's kind of like a trap triangle, but with both of my arms in, so it kind of looks like a rubber guard. And yeah, okay, that's right. And I start working that pass, and I'm finally able to score the pass here, kind of. It's like what we were going over, or like talking about during class, Matt. A lot of people wind up, as I'm starting to turtle, or I'm sorry, as I start to come around, they wind up being able to turtle up on me, and Austin does exactly that.
Yeah.
I didn't mind. I stayed on there. I'm using the high ball ride here to lock his hips down.
Yep. Somebody hit the wall. See what Joe does with this this entanglement he's got on Steven's legs here.
Yeah, so again, I mean, it's very reminiscent of what we went over in class.
Yeah.
Half guard can be very difficult to pass when you've got obviously a good half guard player, and also when you're nervous about getting leg entanglements, right? Which you should be with him. It's even.
You are like transparent. There we go. Oh, I totally missed how Steven got there.
Yeah, watch this. He goes for the shoulder crunch, passes the arm around, or through rather, and then gets the back from there.
Nice, really nice.
I've seen that opportunity pop up, and I've used it quite often lately. When people try to get out of that shoulder crunch position, the common thing is to pummel in front of the face. But if you're able to get your head behind the elbow, you can guide their elbow across your body and start working a back take from there.
Yeah, I mean, just pummeling that hand in front of the face puts it in that crossbody position, where it's here. And you're in such a mechanically weak spot to try to pull your arm across a lot of times, or at least for a split second there. But good trade-off. Nice sweep, Joe. So with the underhook, sets up the overhook, elevates him, takes him right over.
Yep.
Cam didn't finish it.
Yeah, I know,
or
right?
just pull him on top. Look at that, right into the single leg.
Hell yeah, heel hook him.
Luke saw the young buck going for leg locks.
Yeah.
So, Cam, you can't do this weak shit on Luke. I mean, like, just give him your back at that point.
Yeah.
I don't know. Camden's, he's got a lot of wrestling ahead of him, I think. So his shots are just gonna get sharper and sharper.
Mm-hmm. That was a nice double.
Right. I gotta say, point this out just because Austin said he was gonna double leg me over and over. After I congratulated him and talked some shit for his promotion, he was like, "I'll still double leg you." I'm like, "All right, see you at class." How did I set that? I think I just did like I pulled him over me and yeah, okay.
Yeah, you popped over the the collar tie.
Yeah. Yeah, man, I'm stoked for ADCC. I can't wait. We're gonna be there live, so it's gonna be extra super rad. Luke mercifully putting him down. I'm semi nervous for going back to Vegas, just because that city is insane. But the grappling should be rad.
Yeah. So you're trying to set up a Katagatame, and you are setting.
I ain't trying to. I had to. So actually, like when I was doing this, I was thinking back to the one you got Danny and that we went over. I think it was on the last stream we looked at it, but you just like really took your time through it. Like we counted, it was like 30 seconds between when you got your arm under to when he finally tapped, and I was just like, Austin has historically for me been like good at defending those, and I was like, all right, take your time, just go slowly with it. Another big double on him. Just because. Yeah.
Nice.
Well, and to his
like,
credit, he shut that double down. I mean, he got his hips down, so
yeah.
I just had to get around past
Flop him over. No, but like for the arm triangle Katagatame, I'll never forget the first time I saw Luke compete. He had somebody dead to rights in an arm triangle and sat there for, I mean, it felt like a minute, you know? And the guy was not tapping, and so Luke was like, he got, was a little flustered, or thought, basically didn't think that he had it. He felt good, but didn't, and wound up letting it go. And we talked about it after the match, and I was like, dude, I think you had that, he was turning purple.
Yeah.
And then the next match, he got the same type of thing, and wound up just holding out a little bit longer, I think, and got the tap. And it's a slow burn.
Yeah, for sure. We really have to make sure like your connection is sound.
Yep.
We want to look at Joe and Ronnie up here. So Joe's working a really, really good high mount and has managed to isolate Ronnie's elbows very well.
Oh wow, yeah, that was a nice deep leg, like the body side leg.
Yeah.
He's sitting on the shoulder.
Yeah, and I like how much, again, like he really took his time. He didn't just like fly up there and then fall back to his butt or his back and start trying to just break grips. He takes the time to sit here, establish a good control over the arm, at least to start working his grip break when he falls back, and manages to get a solid armbar. Oh, look at what I'm doing to Austin here. I had him in I basically had wrist control over both arms from the back. Do you see how I have it? Like I have cross-side wrist control on each arm. So I had him in a full like straight jacket kind of position, which I can't say I've ever really done to anybody. It was just I was just like toying with them at that point. I'm like, oh, this is kind of cool. What can I do with this? Ronnie called you names. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, Mango. I think you said last time you only have like a year or a semester left of school. The good news is, I mean, like this is going to be the biggest ADCC ever, but I really think it's just going to, like, it's not. I don't think it's the sport is peaking right now. Like, the next ADCC will be insane. Hopefully, it's not in like Finland like it was a few years ago. It'd be cool if they kept it stateside, but I'm sure some of the other international athletes would appreciate a different location closer to their home.
Yeah. How did Steven get Brandon's back?
So guard pass.
Okay.
I think
Got
Brandon turtles from here.
Yeah, he's gonna start trying to get out, but then I think Steven's covering him up pretty good. And he turtles up.
Yeah.
Yep.
Steven makes a quick jump to the back. Leading in with that. Okay.
Isaac and Cole are definitely two up and comers. Micah Galval is insane. No, it's going to be an insane ADCC.
Yeah, the hardest part I think is going to be like deciding which matches to watch.
Yeah.
Like I'm excited to see Marigali on the mats and Nogi. Like that'll be awesome. There's just going to be so much going on. Luke is just punishing Camden right now. One thing I'm still trying to work out of Camden though, and I don't think he'll be mad at me for saying this on the stream or anything, because I yell at him almost every time we roll, is still a little bit of sloppiness with like flopping over, like falling to the back, falling to the butt. And I tried to impart on him the idea that since he's going to be wrestling a lot, like that's probably, even in jiu-jitsu, one of the, I don't know, in jiu-jitsu you could get away with like going to your back more and like playing a back game, but I don't want to see him doing that at all with wrestling staying in his future. There's like zero reason to go to your back in this sport. I don't know, man, even that's kind of general. I probably shouldn't say that, but like in wrestling you certainly shouldn't. So just build those good habits of like constantly not accepting bottom position, doing everything you can to keep your feet or your knees or your base underneath you. He still has to work that out a bit, so I don't know if he's watching or not, but I'll keep yelling at him for it. Guy in green wasn't too bad. Was flexible trying to mount escape. I usually do with both feet into the armpits. You're talking about. I think I know. Yeah. So, yeah, my thoughts on that, because I also yell at Camden for attempting this on me. I really think that this is probably the I don't want to say bad. I think it's low on the hierarchy for me for mount escapes. Is this like, bringing your feet up and trying to get them in the armpits and pushing them off of you? It might create some space. I'm not going to say it never works. But there are, I just feel like framing the hips more effectively and working your elbow escapes, kipping escapes, bridging escapes, bridging and rolling, things like that. I just think are a much higher percentage. Like all it takes is for your opponent to just lower his level, bring his chest towards your face, and it's going to become very difficult for you to get the feet in the armpits and successfully complete that mount escape. Whereas if he does the same thing, if he brings his, if he starts putting a lot of weight down into your head, like, chest to face contact, all that stuff, you get to work your kipping escape. If he's sitting up high and he's worked his way to a high mount, but he doesn't have any influence over your head, you can shoulder walk back to a lower mount position, work your elbow escapes. From that low hip position, if he decides to break his posture and come down and get heavy, you can work on your bridging escapes, and the real beauty comes in working the three of those things together seamlessly, right? Whereas this one, you shoot your hips up. If you don't make contact, it doesn't really lead to much else. Maybe you could parlay this into a hip escape, into an elbow escape by using your legs to help you get to a hip and all that. I don't think that there's much success had with that style of escaping. I'll get off my soapbox now about that one. But I don't know, Mango. I mean, like, is it something that frequently works for you, or like, do you find some success with it? It might just be my short ass legs. Don't do it for me. Now we'll watch Luke beat my ass for a round.
I haven't seen you train with Luke in a long time.
We don't get to do it too much anymore. I mean, it's probably a symptom of how many people are on the mats some days, and then just like other days schedule, like if he has to leave early and whatever. We get after it though whenever we do get to roll. Luke doesn't really take it easy on me anymore. I preach into the choir. I know that. Is that Steven and Cody, I think? You and Brandon. So Brandon seems to really be enjoying the sitting around the knee shield. We saw him do that on me earlier. Yep. Here he is doing it on you as well.
He
go ahead.
Really well. No, keep going. I'm just saying he cuts his hips really well. He commits to the pass.
I was gonna say he works it really quickly, and gets his arm into a good spot across the hips here. So his left arm here, and his right arm in that case. But now he's got to recognize. There we go. Good time to back step out. I mean, you did a good job there of just like getting your hips up to get your knee in. But for that, Brandon, when you're here, you're almost into a guard pass, right? You've gotten around the legs. Now you just need to pin him. This is where you can. I feel like you would do this, like working to north-south right from there. Like don't try to stick around and establish a standard side control. Get away from those legs, because your opponent's immediately going to try to re-guard. Yep. Furthest spot you can get away from those legs is up into north-south, and then from there, settle in. You can move to whatever side you want from there, and work your game. But you're putting together the beginnings of good half guard passing here. So the next is just getting to an advantageous position once your legs are free. Yeah, try north-south. Good. I'm glad you're watching.
Can you go back to that? You had a freeze frame was perfect. I know it's hard to get, but
is it when he's passing?
Yeah. So he starts the pass. He comes up and I have to turtle. So he's gonna backstep, and then right here freeze there. All right. So Brandon, on this is what I do, and I have some success here. Is when people start to re-guard here, your right arm, where it's at right now, if you come through and give me and get a tight waist, so you're going to send your right arm all the way through and connect your hand to basically my back, right? So you're going to go up underneath my belly and grab my back with your right arm, and then you'll drive your right shoulder into my hip and walk your hips around to my right shoulder. That'll put you in a very good north-south position to where I'm fully pinned. Do you know what I mean, Matt? Yeah. So we shouldn't see Brandon's arm right now. We shouldn't see this arm. It should be underneath you, across your stomach. Yep.
And essentially blocking you from moving to your left, while he moves in that direction and creates some distance between the two of you.
Exactly. Yeah. My hips are the power point right now, right? So your goal here, you pretty much have my in a weird way, I've committed so hard that my shoulders are pinned to the mat. I've pinned my shoulders to the mat so I can get my ass up in the air, right? And so that means that if you can lock my hips down, I'm in a full pin, basically.
Yeah.
And so if you get that tight waist with that right arm, you can use your hips to keep my shoulders pinned to the mat, and then use your arm in that tight waist and then that shoulder to pin my hips to the mat.
Yeah, and just like moving forward here, the very first thing you do is pull in your top leg. And Brandon, if your arm was over top of Mike's quadricep instead of behind it, like behind his hamstring here, you're going to impede Mike's ability to pull that knee in, right? So just giving you a little bit more of a barrier between his re-guard and your guard pass. All right, Cody dealing with some a little bit of shoulder pressure from Steven there. We kind of see Steven doing the same thing with Cody, right? Cody's looking to re-guard, and Steven's deciding to work away from the legs and work to a north-south position. Oh, man. So, Cody, that was... I actually really like what you did here. Just kind of... It seemed a little instinctive, right? You're pointing your knees away, or you're pointing your legs away, kind of loading up a pendulum to swing back heavy. Steven's hips come up. You start turning back towards him. I think I see your right arm getting in, framing the hips as you try to get your knees underneath him, unsuccessfully, but still the right idea. And then as Steven hops over, you're gonna have to get a feel for tracking your opponent, right? Because now he's up and past your legs, but you know, when Steven hits those cartwheel passes or like those big high jumping passes, you know, his legs are the slowest moving thing on him at that point, right? Well, no, I guess they technically would be the fastest moving thing, but they're so far away from you that like he's got a lot of ground to cover before he can pull those legs in past the guard. So just work on trying to follow your opponent, trying to stay square with him, as you're attempting your re-guarding. And I should add to that, all of that comes from winning the inside position with your frames. You know, if you don't have that, then that means that Steven has control over you, and turning is going to be a lot harder when your shoulders are pinned because he's controlling you. Let's see how Luke got here, just while we're speaking of north-south.
Pretty much did the pass that he went over.
Yeah, it's kind of bullshit.
A weave, some variation thereof. Yep.
Yeah, he tried to hit a steam lock on me there briefly.
Oh.
I snuck my foot in just in time because I know that's always a threat with him. Like, you don't play a loose half guard with him.
You're trying to dig for the shoulder and come around the back.
Yeah, and he shrugged right out of my leg.
Yep, and so now he's behind your knees.
Yeah, and notice, you know, anyone who's been working on their passing and like, you know, coming out of closed guard and then open guard and now half guard, you know, a common theme with this guard passing is keeping the knees pointed away, controlling the legs, and then making your way around. Like, look how much Luke is crunching me up and making sure that my knees are pointing away before he ever makes a move. You've heard us talk a lot about, like, you know, slow, deliberate, controlled movements. This is a good example of that. He's not jumping around behind me here. He has taken the time to fold me up and immobilize me as much as he possibly can before he even thinks about stepping around. And when he does step around, you can't see it here, but I'd be willing to bet his two legs are here because one of his arms is cradling my leg, right? He's not just flying behind me. He is Luke is fast, and Luke can move very quickly, but he doesn't rely on that. He really utilizes control here. So yeah, I mean, look, he's got, in this case, it looks like he has just a direct grip on my ankle.
Yeah, like a V grip.
Yeah. So he took all that. My knees are still pointing away, and he's just made it up past around my hips now. And then from here, he knows what I'm trying to do as far as like turning back into him. He steps around again, nice and slowly. Isolates my head and shoulders here. Either looking to work. He's probably waiting to see what I'm going to do. You know, if I leave my top arm vulnerable, he's going to work a Kimura. I've, because of you and because of Luke, I've gotten really good in that position simply at hiding my back, not necessarily escaping, just not letting my arm get broken. So, you know, I settle onto my back. He says, all right, cool. We'll work north-south. He does a really, really solid job of trying to get under my neck here, which I think he does with his right arm. Oh, yeah, after continuing to try to dig on my arm for a while.
Yeah, so he's going after your left arm to try and set up a Kimura grip. And then now he snatches down into a north-south again, but I don't think he's got your head. Nope, now he does.
Yeah.
So that's a little movement that makes the world of difference when people are setting up the north-south choke, right? And I know Marcelo is really big on this, but you'll see that hip switch to where Luke shifts himself, and more importantly, his right hip stays very connected to the floor while his left hip is staying up high. And what he's doing is he's shoving the left side of Matt's face into his lat, right? So there's a pocket here that he's trying to get to. And then once he does that, he closes that space between his elbow and his hip by moving his hips back into that pocket. So he goes left, then he goes right. You'll see that switch.
Oh yeah, let me go back. Yeah, it's such a subtle move. Like you don't even necessarily. It's just that right there, that little back and forth with the hips.
And then he is going to sit down nice and low. So that last little sprawl that he did there was him sinking further up. And then Matt's, like, the chin, you can imagine, is just going up as soon as that happens, fully exposing the throat and secures the strangle.
Yeah. Yeah, and I hate when he gets me with those, because like when you're in that position and you're trying to turn into him to shut it down, he knows that. That's a nice throw. He knows that, and he just smashes your nose with his ribs. He's like, "Go ahead, look into my ribs. I'll just make this part suck too."
Yeah.
Let's see. Okay, yeah, he got way underneath me. Nice little sumigashi. Steven on a deep triangle, it looks like. Cody powering out of it. So Cody, let's contrast what I just talked about a few minutes ago with Luke as far as his passing. We'll look at how you're handling a similar position with Steven here. So, and this isn't to pick on you, but just to show some spots to tighten up. Right here, you've gotten up past Steven's hips, right? We saw Luke in that position on me after doing a good bit of control over my legs before he got there. I'm not saying that you have to like suddenly rewind and like go plant yourself behind Steven's knees just to make sure that they're pointing in the direction they're already pointing in. That's not what I mean. But when Luke did this to me, he had established a lot of control over my hips and shut down my ability to rotate while he was there, and then he transitioned up. Right now, you don't really have much control over Steven's hips as far as, rotational shutdown like we saw. Luke had opted for a V grip on my ankle when he did it to me. Alternatively, you can like cradle the leg, just to make it harder for your opponent to turn into you, while you then transition to establishing better upper body grips and controlling them at the shoulders. So you're slowly working your way up the body. So right now, I think Steven has the underhook on you, right? You have no real influence over the hips. Before, let's make sure I'm telling the truth about that. And then I think we'll assume Steven has the top side underhook on you. And then what you're doing here, where you're crawling over his leg, I assume to get to mount. Not a terrible strategy as far as like positional advancement, but you're not going to be able to establish a mount here. Steven could just pull his knee to his chest and completely block you, and then work on trapping your leg, getting back to half guard. Steven works his bottom half guard, and you've lost your guard pass altogether. So I would really focus here on the upper body control, since you're already past the hips. Like you've got to work on getting this underhook back. I would say, no, what do you think about this? Because he's basically almost into side control, so he doesn't necessarily need that underhook at this point.
Right. Yeah.
But I don't see him successfully controlling from here until he establishes a bit more control over Steven's upper body, like with I don't know, maybe I'm trying to think of what grip I would like to see from here.
I see two things. I see two possibilities. I see one being, Cody settling into a side control position, which would mean him laying on some heavy shoulder pressure, sitting his hips down, and trying to sit back onto his heels, right? Mm-hmm. And securing that. Because he's in side control for the most part, except for Steven is able to turn. Now, Steven has that underhook on that side, which prevents Cody from being able to take the back. So it would be either Cody kind of limp arming out and pummeling to come around, and then he would have a back take opportunity here. But he wouldn't be able to unless, Steven relinquishes that underhook.
Yeah.
But right. I don't see him taking a mount from Steven being that high over. He does have some leg riding capabilities here, though, right? If he were to take his left knee and put it into Steven's left knee, or shin rather, and he has some leg riding capabilities there.
Yeah, he'd have to bring his hips way back down, though.
He would have to slide down the body to do that.
And then I don't know why I didn't think about it when I was going through it, but even trying to transition into north-south to establish that pin is always a fair option. Remember that side control and north-south are just 90 degrees apart, and normally nobody has your hips. Nobody's stopping your hips from going up that way. If you're in side control or close to a side control. Let's see what Luke did here. Oh, he just squeezed the shit out of my face.
Yep.
I think I try a sweep single on Luke here. I know I was looking for a setup on him. Yeah, he just circled right around. I don't know why I still do it, but I will still try to hit single legs on Luke, even though it's
hell yeah
so damn difficult to get the leg out from underneath him.
Why not?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, well, if I get successful and I can hit it on him, I can hit it on anybody. Yeah, man, they're a little greasy. All the more reason to try a sweep single. I'll slide on the mat really easily when I do it.
You train with Duncan?
Yeah, he went in on a single leg and just got control of his neck.
Me and Joe.
Shot for a double. We all know how that played out. Yeah.
All right, so I don't want to highlight what I did necessarily, but Brandon, going back to the passing that we were talking about here. So I swept Joe. We end up in a half guard, right? Now I have the underhook temporarily, so I'm gonna start trying to see what I can do from a knee cut. Like as when I find myself in this position with a strong underhook, I'm in a good knee cut position. So you see how I'm riding my knee up onto the inner thigh, and I'm trying to start driving that knee through.
Yeah.
Joe's doing a good job here, and he winds up trying, I think he pummels in for his underhook on that side here, right? So he's trying to block my hip from coming around. So what do? My left arm comes around, and I grab that tight waist, and I use my left shoulder to pin his right hip, and I end up into that north-south position to give me the pass. So that's like what I was talking about, if that makes sense. I know it was on the opposite side of what you were working on that in that other role. But again, he starts to turtle up. I don't want him to turtle up, right? I want north-south. I want the pass. So I'm coming under with my left arm, grabbing his far, basically reaching around as far as I can to get to the back. And then I'm using my right shoulder here to pin his right shoulder to the mat.
Yeah, it's hard to see your left arm doing the work here just because of the angle, but the arm you can't see is the one digging underneath Joe's hips.
Yep. And then from here, I can settle into this north-south and make it pretty miserable.
Yeah, it doesn't look fun. I think Duncan had, what did he do here? I think he shot for either another single on me or a duck under or something.
He tries to get the single. Now there it is.
Out the back.
Keeping his head good, yeah.
I really like how aggressive he's trying to be on this finish. Like,
oh yeah.
Sorry, let's get ahead here. So, like, right there, put me into, like, almost a 4-point position. That attempt on the leg sweep. I was trying to hit, like, I guess, like a Haragoshi, I think it is.
Yeah. Or you toss. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Because the Uchimata was out of the question here. Like, he already had my leg on the outside there.
Yeah, that's the Haragoshi that you were going for. I see that now.
Yeah. But then, so this is like re-rolling is kind of a whole nother skill.
Yeah.
I think Duncan was in a really good spot to win this back. He just would have had to continue on this fall to roll, towards his left and keep me going. The reason I think it would have worked for him is because I'm not on a right angle with him. We're pretty much parallel. And that's when you have a much easier time continuing a roll with your opponent. Right there, like if he had used the pendulum of his top leg and planted off the bottom leg, I mean, even his knee is up in between my legs. He may have been able to kind of bear trap my hips and continue taking me over. So just don't, man, I get re-rolled all the time from like everyone in class. Don't give up on the roll like when your back hits the mat. Like that's the time to try to counter. So keep that in mind for the next time, and don't let me just control you and settle in here.
Yeah, I mean, I like the attention to, you know, like you said, the aggression, standing up, going for throws and stuff. It's a whole other thing. Like I think, like you said, um, getting comfortable with throwing and the re-rolls. So I mean, altogether, great job, Duncan.
Yeah. Yeah, Mango. In all honesty, like I think this is where you and I, Mike, where our games differ. Maybe the greatest is your use of north south versus mine. Like I very much use it as a transitional position and as a control position, just to prevent the regard. I don't attack a lot from there, unless you consider like those dorsal Kimura attacks. Where the guy gets up on his side, and I attack the arm for the Kimura. But as far as like traditional north south goes, it's not a position I attack much from. I think later in here I catch Joe in a north south strangle, and that's the first one I've done in maybe years. Like it's not a common spot for me. Whereas you use it in all the same ways I do, plus legitimate strangling threats, and like general misery inducing pressure. Like and from day one, from our first roll, like you always use that position. Like I remember being stuck with my face just pressed into your chest, not being able to rotate at all. I'm like, who the hell is this guy?
Yeah, my north south is your back, right? Like your back take. Yep.
Sure.
Yep.
So yeah, all that to say, Mango, like, go ahead, like try working on your north south strangle. But if you find more success using it transitionally, there's nothing wrong with that too. But if you spend a good bit of time on it, I'm sure it could become a mainstay in your game. I just feel like I always end up getting rolled from there, especially when I do it against you. Mm-hmm. You're like, get off me, you don't know what you're doing. Joe said he's been studying north-south escape since yesterday. I wonder what brought that on.
Everything I know about it. Yeah, I will. I'll show you everything I know, because the better everyone gets at escaping, the better I have to be at holding it or setting up submissions. So.
I want to point this out from Duncan. This was a really great, solid, like, just lightning fast technique moment. So I have I'm working to like I think a clamp guard on him here. Yeah. And he was in a pretty bad. Well, I don't know. Looking at it now, it wasn't maybe not as threatening as I thought it was. But notice I've got my leg up real high. I'm trying to I think I'm trying to work my hips out. I don't remember exactly where his arm was.
Triangle? Were you trying to maybe push the arm away to get the triangle?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, you know me, like triangles aren't my like go-to. But watch what he does here. He hits me with a really nice shoulder shrug with his right arm, and just pops right out. And it was, I mean, I immediately complimented him on it, because it was like, it was clean. There was nothing I could do to stop it. He gets my hands planted. He shucks me by so quickly. And he said to me, he's like, it was a real gamble. He's like, it either worked and I got out, or it didn't and you were gonna triangle me.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it was a good commitment to the execution of the technique, as small as it may have been. And then it worked to immediately turn into a guard pass. Right now he's laying on some pressure. I think this is where Danny and Steven, Danny switched to going into just takedown rounds. Yeah. Which was vomit inducing, but
yeah, we had one later on. I can't remember when.
What happened with looks like you armbarred Joe here. I wouldn't be surprised if this came from north south, knowing you.
It did. Yeah. So as he's starting to come out, I I'm trying to. You see how I'm like circling around the same way, because I know when people circle around that way. I mean, Danaher says it in his I can't remember. And maybe it's the Kimura. Yeah, it's the Kimura series that he does, and it's so dumb when you say it out loud, but a lot of people don't know or think about it. When somebody's turning to one side, that means that their other arm is up in the air, ready to be isolated, right?
Yeah.
Like, it sounds stupid, but you get so fixated on one arm that you forget that there's an entirely other arm that's coming up here. And so as Joe's turning around, I know that his other arm is going to be coming up, so I use that scoop grip, on the arm, and walk around, set up a Kimura trap, and then I didn't feel like I was going to be able to push him down easily. So I decided to get all my weight behind his shoulder and set up the armbar instead. So we're here. I know he's got that collar tie. It feels bad, but what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to set it up so that I can cut the angle when I'm ready to cut the angle.
Yeah, and the problem with that collar tie, before we go further, is he's using an arm versus your posterior chain, and I'll give you one guess as to which muscle group is or which body part or parts of the body are stronger. Mm-hmm. Might be a little bit of resistance to your posturing, but now as you start to straighten up, look how isolated that arm becomes.
Exactly. Yeah, and just recognizing those little things, right? Like muscle groups and what, again, stuff that we could sit here, Tuesday morning quarterback and be like, oh yeah, piece of cake. Like, that's the weird shit that I think about during a roll. So.
Yeah. See, Danny almost hit the quick step over into mount.
Oh yeah. And then
okay, Steven pulled. Yeah.
Straight into a heel.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah, talk about risky moves. It does look sweet when you hit it, though.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Joe, if you're talking about nice stacking. Oh, Joe, man, this is a great double underdog fight.
Yep.
All right, I'm gonna focus on this for a second, because we talked about the double under in open guard, and then we saw some stacking, dealing with stacks and all that stuff last week. So no triangle here because there's not an arm in, and you effectively have given Mike double unders, or double scoop grip on your legs. The way to make these double unders super effective is to stack your opponent up on his shoulders, which it looks like Mike you're doing here, but what Joe is able to do is he's putting downward pressure on the shoulders, allowing him to get some separation between really his knees and his shoulders. Or another way to think about it is, keeping you down and allowing him to. It's almost like if he shoulder walked back, it would be doing the same thing.
That's right.
He's staying off of his neck, essentially, putting his weight into your body and making it a little bit more awkward for you to move around. I mean, I love how quickly you're switching sides there, and it surprised me that Joe was even able to get this leg back in after that.
Still able to regard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
and we get into it again too. I think, if I remember right, I think we go back into this because I'm pissed that I didn't get it.
Well, yeah. I mean, and that's the thing. Like, by all accounts, it looks like you were doing the right thing. I think if you had stacked him up onto his, like here he's on his shoulder blades. If you had just gotten him purely on his neck and his head, it would have ended very differently. But Joe, it looks like you were able to prevent that with that downward hip pressure.
We were slipping and sliding all over the mats, dude. It was everything I could do to get the grips that I had. So then I think see me fish under, and I'm like, I'm finishing this pass.
Yeah. And even so, here, Joe, you're doing great, man. Just by like not letting Mike settle in. Mm-hmm. Oh, Cody coming out of nowhere.
Damn.
Ripping Cam into the mat. Oh, Cam, another thing, man. That little that bull rushing you do. Sooner or later, you'll see that it doesn't work that well. Yeah, that was a well-earned pass.
All the passes on Joe are well-earned.
Yeah, for real. Man, this should really just be like North-South week. That's how much we're talking about it. What was that?
I said I would love North-South week.
Yeah, right? Looks like Danny shot in for a double leg here. And Steven was not having it and hit him with a standing guillotine.
Yep. I mean, you don't know until you try it.
Yeah. No, I'd love to see that. Like, I that's one thing I don't think Danny has in his arsenal is like solid singles or doubles, like just traditional wrestling takedowns. He's a very effective offensive guard puller.
Yeah.
Like he uses it into immediate threats and sweeps very well. And he's a great counter wrestler. Like I think of all the people in the class, you know, speaking about getting re-rolled, Danny does it to me probably more than anybody. He doesn't hit me on this one though. This one was sweet. Wow.
Oh, yeah, I heard that one. My
Yeah.
head poked out.
I looked up and the entire peanut gallery over here was watching it. I'm like, good. I'm glad people saw that. Not to pick on him here. We'll just look at it slowly. So it was really just a race around like how did I set up the grip? Okay, so it was basically just a duck under. A well-timed duck under. So when your opponent, when it's established that your opponent really likes setting up their collar ties, it's a great opportunity to try to hit duck unders at this point. So Danny's reaching up and over here. I'm not entirely sure what he was looking for here because there's no cloth to grab, but I take it as an opportunity to peek out the back. We initiate a little spin. He does a great job swimming back here. I get to almost a duck under, but I'm not able to completely get behind him because he swims his arm up and over. So now I'm in a lot of trouble for a hip toss here. So I have to keep moving. If I stood still, I probably would have gone for a ride. So I keep going around, but I use one of my steps. I use that last big step you see to sweep the legs out from underneath him. Getting right up under his hips and lifting there. And then just ever so gently putting him down. And then getting the guard pass as well. That was a fun one.
So check out Steven submitting me here. We were going through the half guard stuff and he barrels through my half guard and was able to go straight into a mount just like Luke showed. I couldn't shut it down the way that I typically did. So then he's got this he's got the Katagatame on me and my shoulder is oddly my shoulder was in a really bad spot, but for whatever reason his left arm wasn't as tight around my throat on the right side of my body. so I was holding out pretty hard. But there was no way in hell that I was going to be able to get my arm back on the correct side. And I was thinking that he was going to go for the arm bar on me. And so I kind of like let my arm go out and my head come up. And as soon as I did that, he just slipped in the choke. It was good.
That's awesome. I love this transition that he made here.
It was a quick, watch his right arm just shoot straight in underneath my throat.
And he knew it too.
Yep.
That was solid. I think Danny and I were just in some sort of crazy dogfight. Oh yeah, he slips out the back. There we go. Never mind.
You guys were doing stand-up stuff, right?
Yeah. Danny and I are just having a takedown round. Which is kind of, it was fun. I hadn't done anything like this probably since when you and I were doing them all the time. Mm-hmm. But it's a really great way to, one, test your stamina. And
that was sick.
Yeah, that was really good. I was way up overloaded or over top of his hips, and he just took me right over. But it's a really good way to kind of go through your Rolodex of techniques. I don't think there's anything wrong with having like one or two good go-to takedowns, especially because if you can get so good at them that they just always work, then who cares if you only have two? Insert Bruce Lee 10,000 kicks quote here.
Yep.
Very cliche, we all know it. But there are times in a match where you need to account for your own stamina level, your opponent's pacing, how tired they are, which we'll see some of the things that come about as a result of that later. People get sloppy when they get tired, and it opens up different opportunities for you. Steven getting overextended as well there.
I don't hit those very much on him anymore.
What kind of, it was just like a scissor sweep basically?
Shoulder crunch.
Oh, shoulder crunch. Yeah.
Shoulder.
Dude, I never hit it on him anymore. It pisses me off so bad. He jumps around him. I'm trying to work on ways to tie it into a different move. Or just do a shoulder crunch better and not suck at it.
Yeah, tell me about it. Like it's so funny at our gym. Like no matter how good you think you are at a particular thing, you come in one day and all of a sudden you're like, where did it go? Like,
yeah,
I was just hitting them.
Everybody has the answer. This is a good example of Danny's counter wrestling abilities. Right, like I'm working a lot of my tripping, my sweeping here. Danny doesn't care. He'll go down. He'll just stay really, really tight to me and then put me where he wants to put me, when my hips are up too high or whatever. And this is normal speed right now. So you can tell how tired we were.
Yeah.
So right, I don't know. I'm not sure. Yeah, this is it. So, everybody loves a Seoinage, but I said everything I said earlier about fatigue because before I set this up, I could really feel Danny. I mean, first off, kind of a tell was Danny's attempt here. I don't know if he just slipped. Yeah, I guess he slipped. But he's tired. He's slow to get up. Whatever. I know he's tired. Seoinages are a dangerous move to try to do against an opponent who has a lot of energy because you're giving up your back, and they can take full advantage of that, and now you're in a lot of trouble. So I knew with Danny being tired, he'd probably be leaning very heavy into me. I know Danny likes collar ties, so that leaves an arm open. That's a good recipe for drop Seoinage like this. So I take let's see. Okay, yeah, I kind of relinquish the inside position to Danny. You could see here. I had the inside. He had a collar tie on me, but I had like an inside bicep tie. That's not very. I mean, you could probably do something with that for a Seoinage or a shoulder throw or arm throw, whatever you want to call it. But it's I don't like it. It doesn't work well for me. So I had to kind of covertly relinquish that position. You know, I pull my arm out. Danny reestablishes his collar tie, and as soon as he does, that's where I go through my checklist. Or it's like, all right, is he weighing heavy into me? Well, his feet are, you know, outside, or his head is in front of his feet right now. So that's some forward pressure. I could feel him pushing into me. Now I just need to really hit the move and commit to it. His legs step wide. I hit my quick turn and I could take him over. So there are a lot of ways that I try to mitigate the risk of the back exposure on a Seoinage, instead of just throwing them in willy-nilly. And when everything lines up, it's a fun throw. And I think I hit... Oh, I almost hit a Russian snap on him here. I should say, Danny, you know, I just said Danny was tired a whole bunch. So was I. Seoinage's gravity's doing the work. I'm not doing any of the work, really. I want Steven to squeeze the shit out of your floating ribs right now. I showed him, or no, it was either Steven or Austin. I showed him like the old school catch close guard thing where like you kind of TP your legs out and then hug the legs.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh my God. What is that?
He tried this TP choke on me, but I think it was half-hearted. I don't think he didn't feel like he had anything. He was kind of preparing for me to try and pass.
Almost had a sick leg entrance there.
Yep.
That's right, Mango. I mean, I've said that. I try to tell every white belt that, like, when the white belts are getting better, it believe it or not, it's making all of us better. It gives us better training partners. So everybody has something to offer everybody on the mats. God, that was such a tiring round. Just got done cranking his face/neck. I took a rest round this time. Speed it up. Joe and Cody. Joe setting up his Americana, slipping the arm free, or slipping the head free, gets it. Remember, Cody, the a common defense to Americanas is, if you can, turning towards your arm that's in trouble. The downside obviously is the back exposure, but if you don't feel like tapping to the Americana and you have a bit of shoulder mobility, roll to it and then work on your back escapes. Steven and James, I think. Oh, it's Duncan. My bad.
Duncan.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I don't think I've seen James get triangled recently.
Mm-mm. There you go, Duncan.
That was nice. Really nice.
That was good.
Like good body positioning all the way around, getting Steven's legs, making it ineffective for Steven to like hook on his own legs. Now you just got to work on maintaining your top control. I feel like we've seen some solid guard passing from Duncan like in the last few weeks.
Cam did a nice job trying to escape from Mount on Austin and going into Ashi.
Oh yeah. Getting there.
He's good.
Cody's shutting down the hand fight right now. Yes, good.
Nice
Cody,
job.
that was excellent. I like how much you paid attention to the cross-facing leg here. Like, it seems like at no point were you threatened by Joe's submission, strangle attempts, and then you immediately felt his attempts to switch here and controlled his legs through that, and that was really, really solid. Duncan dealing with the double under now against Steven. We're seeing that weird double Ashi thing again. Steven doesn't have a leg isolated. He just has both legs hugging around the hips, or he did briefly. Yeah, I totally agree, Joe.
Yep. Yeah, Cody, you were in some heel hook danger where you just were. So just be aware that...
Oh, for leg entrances.
Yeah, be aware of the leg entrances. Kimura. Get the finish or get the sweep? Which one? Finish.
God, he was all twisted up there.
Yeah. It was like you couldn't even roll to your back because of the arm was trapped.
Big Banky, thank you for the follow. I don't know if you're still here, but I guess I missed that one. Yeah, anybody else lurking? If you like what you're seeing, chime in, ask some questions. Hit that follow button, all that good stuff. And give us your Twitch Prime. We really appreciate it. How many times? Fortunately, none spring to mind that were like awesome, but
Yeah.
we definitely roll into it every once in a while. That's why we padded it up. We knew we would have to do that.
Nice go behind Joe.
Oh shit, this is a new round. I didn't even notice. More north-south talk incoming.
This is where Danny's talking to me about the rules of engagement. I'm like, so wait, are you gonna defend? Or
So,
like, what?
I'm gonna take you down, and you ain't gonna do nothing about it. Oh man, I forgot to point it out. Mango just reminded me during Luke's roll with me.
Mm-hmm.
He with like 2 seconds left, he hit a perfect smother choke on me, like his tits like right around my face and his wet rash guard like waterboarding me. And then my nose being smashed in, and then the bell went and he's like, "You're so lucky." Like, yeah, I know I was there. Oh yeah, Gordon would have been very proud. Joe putting to the test some of the half guard passing stuff here too, and doing well with it. Like really giving me a lot of trouble. I really wanted to hit a straight ankle on him here, but I didn't feel confident in my own ankle safety to really go for it, so I had to bail. Check out the reverse teepee choke. When did it? Oh, it happened on Austin here. How far back was it, Steven? Ah, here we go.
Oh, jeez.
That's just mean. I mean, wow. Interesting. Austin might lose his title as innovator if that's happening. That's an interesting one. I can't say I've ever even thought of that as an option.
No, I mean I know to set that up as a triangle, but never a TP choke. I mean,
Yeah.
I guess it's kind of like a duh thing, right? But I've never tried it.
No, that's cool. We all should hit that on Austin now.
Yeah, totally.
Just over and over.
I thought his head was gonna pop off. It's the best kind of TP choke.
Yeah, man.
So on that sweep single that I just tried to hit on Danny, he was not having it. I think this is the third one in a row where I've caught a sweep single on him because he's got that lead leg and he's just like barreling into me, and I just kick his ass.
That was nice.
Straight over top of me, but I keep the leg.
That was a really sick little detail. It happened so fast. Right there, you're like, get off of me.
And then I keep the leg and I just come up and put him down on his back.
That was really interesting. I always forget I made that Danaher emoji until someone pulls it out. Thanks for joining, Mago. Appreciate you hanging out, buddy.
Later.
Go sweat your ass off in a gym with no AC.
Yeah, right.
We'll be there with you in spirit.
These takedown rounds with Danny, they were taking it out of me, man.
They suck, dude.
Yeah.
I'm happy to do them, but it's like doing 3 rounds all at once.
Yep.
Look at Steven being so cavalier with his back exposure. Austin smacking his ass. Man, one of you watching, remind me to talk about other options for breaking down opponents when you're behind them, like Austin is right now. He just tried to do a sit through, or like that like not a sit through, but like he tried to sit behind Steven to take him out here. But Steven's way.
He's trying to get that bar.
Yeah, exactly. Like right there, it just wasn't gonna happen because of Steven's base. So one of you remind me to talk about that at the next open, Matt. Now I'll show you guys another option that's really good. and it's more about taking them forward than taking them backward.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, I know like Luke goes over that too, like getting like barreling into them, you know, so that they're going forward and then pulling them backward.
Yeah. 32 Cairo, thanks for the follow, man. Welcome. I don't know what Canma means, but thanks for being here. But yeah, like with when Steven was trying to reach through on that knee bar, if you can get Steven's hands planted forward, you know, he's not going to hit that knee bar.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Last time I mentioned north-south, only because I'm pretty stoked that I actually hit one of these for once. So I switch into like getting my grip was like I had like the underhook here. I was trying to, you know, frame against Joe's hips, and then I worked in to try to get a closed grip and pull my arm through deeper.
That's solid. Yeah, I mean, there's Joe. You probably already know this, but looking into the lat is the way to get out of the north-south. It sucks terribly, but it's the only way that I know to get out of it.
Thanks for the charity. Be sure to deduct that from your taxes. James and Duncan getting after it.
Turn their head the wrong way. Yeah.
Nice arm drag. Nice. So Camden, is your knee all right? Okay, you're just playing around. I feel like we've seen you go for this like last ditch leg grab on these takedowns, which isn't. It's not like a bad thing if it's done correctly. But right now, Joe has so much control over you. Like, you're not. I feel like you're not gonna get to an advantageous angle, excuse me, with this grip, and now Joe's just gonna sit you down, and we all know what happens next. So like, if you're gonna go in on these legs, this is a very mobile endeavor. You got to start here. Like, you can't just hang out in front. Just like a good single, you cut to an angle on it. You know, when you're doing this last ditch attempt to get a single, you've got to have mobility on your side. So otherwise, if Joe got behind you here, you already have an arm trapped. Joe hit this from kind of a modified position. But like, that's such a high risk to take when you don't have that mobility, that you don't want to grab those single legs without that on your side. Hope that makes sense. Yeah, man, Cam's got he's got an accelerator on him. Steven's a son of a bitch, because look at this guillotine I had on him. So I start digging in. I get super deep. I like no arm in. I have no idea. Well, I mean, we talked about it. I basically didn't have like the other side. I had the bicep well connected, but I didn't have a deep enough grip. I was so angry at him for escaping that. Really, I was mad at myself, let's be honest. And let's not forget about James and Duncan up top. Whatever, dude. Don't use my emojis against me. And again, if you guys, maybe if some of our new followers like what we're doing, subscribe. It'll bump up our subscriber count a little bit, and I think when that happens, I can make more stupid emojis for you guys to use and mock us with in the chat. So we appreciate the support.
Nice, Joe. I like how you're trying to trap.
Danny hit a nasty guillotine on Austin there. What did Joe do? So Joe, okay, he's kind of spamming the neck threats. He gets the exposure.
I mean, the hand fight from the back is not. I think people, and I mean Matt obviously has a formula that he goes by, but I think a lot of people struggle with that. Don't be. I know you're not discouraged, but don't be too discouraged with that, because it just comes with time. You figure out like the little things like cross-side grips versus near-side grips and all that stuff, and those combinations. Eventually, you'll find something that works. For me, I take a page out of Luke's book with the back attacks, and I bug the ever-loving shit out of the neck. Like, but it depends on how somebody defends. So oftentimes I'll go in and I'll get like the traditional underhook, overhook, right? But then if I've got somebody who, and I mean Veronica, I'll just call her out on this. If I'm going after Veronica and I know that she's very defensively sound, or somebody who's very defensively sound, I'm gonna bug the hell out of the neck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, Joe, I'm gonna give you a little pop quiz next time I see you on some of the points of that position, because it isn't there isn't like a step 1, step 2, step 3. There's just like what is my obstacle right now, and what's my best way of overcoming the obstacle. And once you understand that, you get to make up, kind of sort of make up your own approach.
Yeah, it really becomes concepts that you're trying to adhere by, and like trigger points.
Yeah, Cam hits a nice dummy sweep and you go into a mega reap.
Yeah.
But Cam's knee is all right there. It's not bending. Briefly tried to omoplata Steven. Way too slippery for that game. So what's Duncan doing up there? So James working the standing guard break. Love it. We've seen recently Duncan's gotten I think he's taken a liking to the leg entrance that you taught, Mike.
Yep.
Look at that.
He switches over to the other. Oh wow.
So watch his little inversion. He turns around on his shoulders and gets his head behind James. So he gets here. Cross shoulder post, switches through. I don't think he has a leg inside yet. Like he's clamped on the leg.
Yeah. He effectively hit an Imanari roll on James.
Yeah. Just didn't keep his
right leg.
Yeah.
He didn't shoot his right leg through. Yep.
Yeah, that's it. I guess it was never established there. So I could do these and I could watch them, and it still is just like my mind just doesn't digest it all the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just didn't pull the knee. Like when he pulls his right knee down, his leg doesn't get in between. It stays on the outside.
That's right.
Whatever, man. That's great movement. Like that.
That was cool.
Now we just need to tighten up that entrance. And he's got a backside 50-50 entrance. He's got a cross Ashi entrance, all from a standing guard break. And right there alone, you just built up your closed guard game.
Yep. Joe, you and Cam are in the weirdest positions.
They've just rolled around in this position for like a minute, like in this reverse guard.
Did you get him with something like a toe hold?
I didn't see anything there.
I didn't see. Yeah. Or was he just uncomfortable and tapped? I don't know.
Tired of sniffing your butt.
Yeah.
Man, killer stuff.
Yeah.
We got James and Steven for the final round.
Did he hit the armbar already?
No, I think it's incoming.
Okay.
Joe about to break a shin here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it looks like it. What was that?
I was watching from the sidelines.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
That was nice.
Oh, James and Steven were talking about this after class. It's like triangle armbar.
Mm-hmm. Doing it without the crossface leg,
Yeah.
just full with the triangle, the trap triangle.
Okay, so you're all right, kind of like a Granby roll entrance. I don't even know if you'd call that a Granby, but rolling to regard from a turtled position, catches James. Look at that scoop. Watch it.
Yep, with right leg.
Yeah, Steven's right leg. That was beautiful. So coming around, scoop that up.
Yep.
Mine. And then now it's just a matter of trying to get to the angle. I'm sure he was thinking triangle here first. But great control on the arm. That was sick, man.
Yep. Yeah, that was awesome.
Steven and James are like choosing to work in this existing puddle of sweat. They can't. Yeah, I was just thinking that. Like, there's no way. You can't like grip off the mats or anything. Yep.
Yeah.
And Joe's in a good spot up here. Working on a mounted triangle. Yeah, make this... Okay, interesting. You're like just a quarter turn away from going to the rear triangle there, but I don't know what sort of attack was on the arm, but it worked. Just
nice.
Yeah, as soon as Austin's getting ahead, gets swept. See if we get one last sweep or guard pass before the bell. Oh, it was an armbar, okay. Killer stuff. Got a black eye out of that round. Yeah, Austin's giving those out for free these days, from what I've heard. Cool stuff, guys. That was a really solid Saturday training session. We love to see it. We will be... Oh, I'm surprised nobody brought it up. I'm glad nobody did, but I know I was talking about having a guest on this. Thank you, Cody. Appreciate you, bud.
Thank you.
Yeah, we had to postpone our guest Miguel to maybe 2 weekends from now. We'll have to see. But whatever. I'll stop talking about it until I know it's gonna happen. But in any case, thank you, Steven. You know the deal. Follow us here, subscribe here. We really appreciate it. If you're a Twitch Prime subscriber, remember those expire every month, and go ahead and click the subscribe button again. It really helps us out a lot. Keeps the stream looking good. So follow us over on YouTube as well, where we will post this over the next day or two. What else? Anything else? Back to Monday tomorrow. We'll be moving on to side control for the next 2 weeks. Thank you, guys. Glad you appreciate it. We appreciate you. Yeah, we'll see you up there tomorrow. Yeah, get ready to work on your side control and your pinning and all that good stuff. What else? You got anything, man?
Nah. Back to normal training, finally.
That's right. So
For the time being.
get your asses to the mat and trim your nails and do your laundry and don't be stinky and don't scratch Steven in the forehead if you're Caleb. And yeah, all that good stuff. So we'll see you guys on the mats. Take it easy.
Later.